The Brad rules!
Sonic Frontiers was certainly an ambitious game, but it wasn't without its problems. I like it, but it's far from one of my favorite Sonic games, and it certainly could have implemented its features better to tie it all together. If you want to hear my full thoughts on the base game, you can check out my full review of it where I go over basically everything. But nearly a year after its release date in September 2023, Sonic Frontiers received a pretty sizable DLC update, free of charge, that featured a brand new story, and not just any story, a brand new conclusion to the main game. An alternate ending, which is now the canon version of the story, being that the original's version was rushed. This DLC is Sonic the Final Horizon. The story takes place right after Amy, Knuckles, and Tails sacrifice their physical forms to save Sonic from his cyber corruption. But now Sage can bring them back and stabilize Sonic's cyber corruption for the time being. Knuckles, Tails, and Amy agree to hunt for the Chaos Emeralds, while Sonic is tasked with climbing the towers of the Masters to stabilize his cyber corruption, and it all takes place on a redesigned Aranos Island. This is pretty monumental when you think about it, because Tails, Knuckles, and Amy have not been playable in any mainline Sonic game since Sonic 06. Yeah, it's really been that long. The new playable characters all have skill trees of their own and have the biggest movesets they've ever had in the series. The combat moves are definitely toned down in terms of grandiosity compared to Sonic, but some interesting notables are Amy's tarot cards now actually being a part of her moveset in both combat and maneuvering. And Tails has the show-stealing ability by being able to pilot the Cyclone. And all it takes is an infinite boost to keep you flying indefinitely, and you can cheese the shit out of his sections. And what in the world is up with Tails doing this extra animation to propel himself upwards before doing his normal flying move? What? He has to propel himself upward now after 30 years of doing it the old-fashioned way? It's well animated, but it's not necessary in the least bit. Each character is tasked with some busy work before snagging a Chaos Emerald. Amy needs to find the Coco Elder and Hermit, Knuckles needs to destroy impact forms, and Tails hacks into terminals. Each of them has their own unique platforming challenges, and they're decently designed. The puzzles are back, and you'll see that these have been made ridiculously hard with some really laughably short timers. The puzzles were too easy in the main game, but now they're practically impossible. I mean, what is this mirror puzzle even? It's on par with the Kronos one in terms of rage inducement. Honestly, even though it's cool to play as these characters in a mainline game again, their sections feel underwhelming. Yeah, I'm sorry. When you really think about it, these characters aren't really doing much. Nothing is exactly memorable. They don't feel like they matter here, and rather feel shoehorned in here. Basically, it's like a big manager coming to your job, and your supervisor tells you to look busy, and everyone scrambles to act like they're doing something. But they're really just pretending to look busier than they really are. It's okay, guys. You can go back to looking at your phones again. We all know you weren't doing fuck all just a few moments ago.
Hey, what is going on here?
It may be free DLC, but it's still content for an official full-priced game, and I'm going to judge it without pulling any punches. I do like each of the 3 songs that play as you control Tails, Knuckles, and Amy. These set the tone pretty well.
There's a time to
find another passage.
Sonic is the real star of this show, and his content is actually quite good, and he's equipped with the spin dash right from the start, which you had to unlock in the main game by 100%ing the game. The main attraction is the Trial Towers, but Sonic also can access new cyberspace stages, and these are really nice with some added challenges, and each one has an alternate exit. I really enjoyed 4i, which has the most surreal design out of the bunch. This time around, you're not collecting vault keys, but rather Lookout Coco, which enable you to unseal the Trial Towers. But you'll find so many of them around the island, you don't need to kill yourself with these because the collecting objectives in the cyberspace stages can be quite challenging. We also have some really nice remixes of the cyberspace music from the main game, and 4D is my personal favorite. It's quite the banger. I love ascending the towers, and they are downright brutal. These are set up in a way where you really need to pay attention and have good timing, because one wrong move and you'll be sent plummeting back down to the ground. And when that happens, it's agonizing. But I always felt motivated to try again, because these are actually great. And yeah, it's more of the floating platform abstractness, but it's well laid out. When you reach the top, you'll be presented with a trial, and the second one is a real bitch, with these spinning top enemies that become armored faster than the normal ones you faced in the main game. This took me many tries. But the true challenge came from the fifth and final trial, the Master King Coco Boss Rush Trial. Before a patch was implemented, you had to contend with a perfect parry that was extremely hard to do with such a small window to parry. Because unlike the normal parry, which you could hold down indefinitely, this one was timed, and you had to fight the first 3 bosses with only 400 rings with no extra rings in sight. I went into this trial thinking the perfect parry was still flawed, but didn't realize it had been patched out because I had outdated information, and I wasted an hour or two and then switched it to easy for more rings and a slightly longer window to pull off the perfect parry. And I was mashing the parry like a lunatic because before the patch, you could cheese things a bit by rapidly hitting parry to close the gap between the valid frames, where the perfect parry will register. And this is how I beat it, when in reality, if I knew about the increased window that was already patched into the game, I could have beaten this just fine on normal. So yeah, I'm an idiot, but at least I was man enough to admit it here in this video. A lesser man would have stricken this from the record, re-recorded the footage to cover up this unsightly mashing, but I am brave enough to put it out here for all to see. Anyway, once you fight all the titans again, the end will appear in moon form and attach himself to Supreme. This fight is pretty cool and intense, but it really could have used a prompt to tell you how to target the tube, which you need to sever to make any progress in this fight. You didn't need to worry about targeting any specific target in any other fight, so to have it suddenly dropped in your lap to sink or swim is a bit of a head scratcher, and a quick Google search tells me that many people have had issues with this fight due to this. Sonic uses the power of his cyber corruption to take his supersonic transformation to the next level and become Super Sonic 2. Maybe Sonic Team was taking a look at Sonic and the Fallen Star and saw how cool Nova Sonic looked and figured it was time for a new transformation. And we haven't gotten an expansion on Super Sonic in quite some time. Hypersonic was the last time, and that was way back at Sonic 3. It's just great to see the cyber corruption being put to such a great use as to implement it into his transformation, using what was once a weakness as a strength. It's way better than the forgettable way it was handled in the base game, that's for damn sure. I also like how Eggman gets his time to shine here as he helps Sonic finish off the end in a very satisfying conclusion.
And the way he shoots Sonic out of the big ass rifle reminds me of how Sonic would defeat the Metarex in Sonic X.
Sage gets to survive this time around, and we get the same ending cutscene, officially dismissing the original ending. So overall, the Final Horizon is worth playing through, but I'm not crazy about the floating platforms and architecture design. I like the mechanics and the platforming challenges, but the overall aesthetics are still not doing it for me. It was definitely really nice to play as Tails, Knuckles, and Amy again after years of Sonic hedgehogging the spotlight. But I can say this revolutionized my experience with the game. It's still the same vibe and concept at play, so basically all the same problems and criticisms I had with the main game are still very much applicable here. Many people are calling Sonic Frontiers a great prototype of what Sonic games can be in the future. But when Sonic Frontiers released after a 5-year drought of mainline Sonic games, I expected more than just a prototype for the future. I wanted it to be the future. So guys, let me know what you think about the Final Horizon in the comments down below. I'd love to discuss. Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? Are you kind of like me where you enjoyed it but you have problems with it? Let's discuss it. And please subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bells to get all the notifications when I post all my new videos. I want to thank all my subscribers for your continued support. And thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.